Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to come on here and talk about the new moon in Aries. It's happening March 21st, 2023, 9:01 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And we're going to talk about some astrology, and then I'm going to go over some intuitive messages. Then we'll talk about a video that was really inspiring, and I'll make sure I'll link it down below. We're going to talk a little bit about the gene keys as well. I've been loving working with the gene keys and incorporating that into content like this for you. And then we're going to talk about ways you can work with this new moon energy and honor it. And yeah, so grab some tea, coffee, maybe a little snack, get cozy, and we're going to hang out. We're going to hang out and talk all things esoteric here. So this new moon is not your average new moon. No. This is charged with a lot more energy. So first of all, we have the new moon. The new moon already symbolizes a new cycle. We get it every month. We get this surge of just a little bit of a freshness, a chance to start a new 30-day cycle in our life. And it's happening in the sign of Aries. So Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. So it marks the birth of a new life, a new cycle. Because, we're at the very beginning of the zodiac wheel again. And then we go through all 12 signs until we're in the last sign of Pisces, which is about endings. And there's a lot of Pisces energy going on here too. And then we'll move into Aries again, where we begin our journey in the wheel once again. So that's what the sign of Aries is like. And we have Aries season once a year, if you don't already know. And the first day of Aries season is also usually spring equinox, or around the time of spring equinox. And spring equinox is another mark of a new beginning in terms of just nature and nature's time. It's a time when we start to gain back more light and the days get longer. So that's one layer of it. And that's already a supercharged, super powerful surge of energy that we're getting in whatever house that Aries rules. Then we have Pluto moving signs. A few days later, on the 23rd, Pluto enters the sign of Aquarius. And Pluto is a planet that does not move very fast, and it does not change signs very often. So when it does change signs, it's a big deal. It takes anywhere from 12 to 15 years for Pluto to move signs. For example, it's going to be in Aquarius for 20 years. So Pluto's really, really slow. And so this marks a new generation. And that's why a lot of people are like, wow, we are also receiving, it's also the beginning of a new world order. And that shouldn't be a surprise to you. We've already been surprised by the events that have happened over the last 3 years. We've already been surprised. And so the energy of a new world order, I don't want that to sound doom and gloom. I don't want that to sound scary. We've already been in the process of change. We just had, the pandemic happen, and that's something that I don't think any of us have experienced before, right? So there's already this implementing of new experiences. So don't be scared. We're already on that train, and this is upping that a little bit. Then we have Saturn moving signs, and Saturn is also a slower moving planet. It takes about 2.5 years to move signs, whereas the moon takes a few days, or Mercury and Venus can take a few weeks sometimes. Saturn takes a couple years, a little over a couple years, and it is in the sign of Pisces. And Pisces, like I said, is the last zodiac sign in the wheel. So Saturn is ending things here in the sign of Pisces. So while we're having this Aries energy coming in and sparking something new, we also have Saturn in the sign of Pisces really doing work to undo karmic knots, to undo old cycles. Anything that just is not going to serve you in this new chapter, in this new era, is getting undone by Saturn here. And something that's also interesting is Pluto will do a dance between Aquarius and Capricorn over the next couple of years. It moves in Aquarius and then it retrogrades back into Capricorn, and then it moves in Aquarius, and then I believe in 2025 is when Pluto will be in Aquarius for good, and around 2025 will be when Saturn moves out as well. So that is really indicating to me that we have like 2.5 years here, about 2 years, to wrap shit up. And so this isn't going to be this huge, major, like instant change. I think this is a process that happens over a couple years, because it takes time. It takes time for the energy to come from the cosmos to filter down into the universe and then to funnel through our bodies. It's going to take time. And then if there are any blockages in the body or interferences in the body, it's going to take even more time, because then energy can't move until you unblock that. And sometimes we don't even know we have blockages until, you know, something fills our channel and it gets stuck in there. And then all of a sudden we're like, why do I feel so stuck? What's the blockage? And we discover a new blockage all of a sudden, you know. So this is a process that's going to happen over the next couple of years, where you find your blind spots and you become aware of them, where you are realizing just what is not going to work for you, and you start to transition out of that, where you realizing, you know, how you want to express yourself and how you don't. You start transitioning. Give it a couple years. Another interesting indicator of a new beginning is Mars is going to move signs. Mars has been in the sign of Gemini for way too fucking long. Okay, it has been in my 12th house. I want it out of there. I want it out of there. And I think we all feel that way about Mars. It's been in the sign of Gemini since I think October of 2022, maybe August or October 2022. I don't know. There's so many transits to keep up on. But it's been in there for a while, and it's finally moving signs. So that is also the stagnant point that gets some relief. It's also the stagnant point that feels like we're finally moving on, or finally like we're just getting past the stagnation. And then another thing that's interesting, right? Like, we didn't have enough indicators here of newness is not only do we have one new moon in Aries, we have 2 new moons in Aries. It's reminding me of that like one TikTok where it's like, what's better than one cover girl? 2 cover girls. I don't know if you know that TikTok, but yeah, we have 2 new moon in Aries happening, and the second new moon, it's around mid-April, I think April 20, and of course, don't quote me on that. Like I said, I don't have that written down on my calendar just yet. But I think it's around April 20, and of course I'll make a video closer to that date, but that is also going to be a solar eclipse. So again, another insane indicator that the universe is sending us all of this energy so we can start something new, so we can initiate something new, so we can step into the new world order, so we can find our place and our purpose in that new world order. So place in life and purpose in life, it's subject to change. It is. You could have been an actor in this last chapter, but maybe in this next chapter you're meant to be a doctor instead. Like, you know, you never know. But there is this ability to change purpose, and some of you might have to and you don't want to, and it's going to be an annoying process, or some of you might embrace it and it can be really fun to discover something new. It all depends on you. We can't control what energy the universe sends us, but we can control how we respond with it and how we dance with it, you know? Another thing that's interesting about the astrology of this new moon is that Mercury's in Aries, Chiron's in Aries, Jupiter's hanging out in the sign of Aries. So all of them are also coming together and like giving energy to this new moon. Chiron's coming in. It's the energy of the wounded healer. So there's a huge charge of healing here. This is a potent time to heal. Jupiter's here, so there's a lot of optimism, a lot of positivity, a lot of benefic energy. That's one side of Jupiter, but Jupiter also has a shadow side where it can be really militant, it can be really strict, it could be really like obnoxious energy. So it could also expand things that we don't want to necessarily be expanded. So there's a shadow side to Jupiter as well, and this all depends, like I said, on you and your current momentum. And the great part is that if there are any momentums that you are on that are just setting you up for failure or setting you up for like hardship, this energy is going to expose it. So listen to that, embrace it, change it now, work on it now, start healing it now. Don't wait until it bites you in the ass. That's a great thing about Jupiter, is sometimes where things like we're being ignored, Jupiter comes in and makes it so big that you can't ignore it anymore and you have to address it. Another thing that this energy could bring too is a lot of like wisdom and teachings and important information, with Mercury being here, important conversation, important teachers, important people to come in and usher you into a new beginning. The thing with us is us humans need other people sometimes because we have empty channels within ourselves that we need other people to come in and fill. So how this works is, let's say you have like a talent within you that you don't recognize. That's an empty channel within you, or a half empty channel within you. And then a person comes in and they are able to recognize your talent and bring it out, and that would have never came out if this person didn't recognize it. It would have just always been like a hidden thing. So this is how other people can come in and like bring us up and bring us out of ourselves. I feel like Mercury and Jupiter can do this because Mercury is people and talking and whatnot, and Jupiter is more like teachers and guides and gurus. So I think that's another thing here, is that if you have this could be like a very like spiritual, I'm picking up on multiple different things here. Spiritual conversations coming up, spiritual thinking coming up. There's this energy of, also, if you work in the spiritual field, or if you're like tarot reader, astrologer, you know, you work with runes, you're a witch, whatever it is, if you're in the esoteric field, I think this is a really cool time to be in that field. Like, I think this work is going to be supported, or like kind of like people are going to look towards it more as they're trying to discover their new purpose, their new selves. They're going to look more towards it. So, you know, step up to the plate. Don't be afraid to step up to the plate. And I think this is also a great time to connect with people who are like that, you know, like bring in a little witch into your friend group if you haven't already. Go to events in your area where people of the healing arts meet up and hang out. Do that kind of stuff. I think it'll be kind of fun and beneficial. It could be healing as well. And another thing interesting about this new moon is that it squares off Mars and Gemini, and that to me is like, Aries is like, all right, I want to initiate this new beginning. Let's do it. And Mars and Gemini is like, hold on, I have a couple last minute loose ends to tie up, especially in the mind and in the throat chakra. Last minute conversations, settling the wars in your mind kind of stuff. Tying that up real quick before we have this new beginning. That's what Mars is doing. It's like, hold on, let me tie that up. And then another interesting thing is you'll see Saturn is kind of making a trine to Mars, and it's making a trine to the South Node, and then the South Node and Mars are in a trine. And so this shows me that there's like this funneling in of past life karma. So you have the South Node, which is past life, Saturn rules karma, and Mars is like, I think where we're going to see the karma is this last couple degrees of Mars in Gemini. So funneling in of karma there, so you could tie it up so you can finish it, so Mars can come in and make the cut. I think that's how that they're all playing. You have Saturn being the karma, and the karma is past life from the South Node, and then Mars is here to make that cut. So it can't come with you to this new beginning. And something I heard, it was in the video that I'm going to talk about later, is that karma can only last 7 generations. Like, after that, someone needs to come in and break it, and it's going to happen. You know, do we think that the people up there, or not people, but the entities up there that made this crazy universe that we live in, this giant fucking floating rock that we live in, do we think that they are going to give us unlimited chances and like to play in this game? Like, no, there's due dates, and they said after 7 generations karmas need to be freaking paid. And a lot of times the people that reincarnate to break the karma might have had something to do with it beginning, with it starting up in the first place. It's those people and where their souls come and reincarnate to break it in this lifetime. Hey, if that resonates with you, check out the link in my bio. Past life readings are kind of my specialty. They're my favorite ones to do, and they're the service that I have offered for the longest. So check that out. We use a lot of different methods to pull up past life. We use astrology, tarot, fun stuff. Anyways, another thing that's interesting is we also have this like Taurus stellium happening. Venus is connected to the North Node. All right, North Node is purpose and what we're meant to do next. What are we meant to discover and learn in this next chapter? It's in the sign of Taurus, so Venus is nice and strong. And I think there's this indication here that our future needs to be rooted in love. All right, and in these Taurus and things of everyone having the bare minimum things that they need: food, water, clothes on their back, and a place to live. That's like Taurus energy. What are these bare minimum things that we need? I think Venus here and Uranus being here wants to start a new beginning where everyone has that. Okay, everyone, because everyone deserves the bare minimum. And something that I think is very interesting is we have all of these energies coming together so they can begin to send in these waves of energy into our universe, right? And what this will feel like is like, if you are someone who's not aware yet, this will be harder for you. And if you're not aware, you're probably not watching this video. But if you know people who aren't just aware of themselves yet, this could be a hard process. All right, this process of awakening. It starts with like, one, you discover astrology, you discover mysticism, you discover the cosmos, whatever. And then you're like, oh, okay, it's a little sketched by it, but we'll see. And then it starts to pull you in. And then you're like, you move into the transforming phase. And this is when you're like, oh, I can use this to change myself. I could use this to change my life. I can use this to build something. And then you start to work with it and dance with it and play with it. And then eventually you move up to the awaken wave, where you are just with it, where you are just you're harmonizing with it, where you are in perfect synchronization with it. And a lot of us aren't there yet. That's a tough one to get to. A lot of us are still in that transforming phase where we're learning to incorporate it into ourselves and into our lives. So that's kind of like the process, right? And so this process might be easier for some, harder for some. But regardless, the energy right now, it's unstable. It's because it's trying to change, right? You have these planets shifting signs, needing to get acclimated in their new house, and needing to gain their momentum back. The energy is going to be a little unstable right now because of all the change funneling in through the universe. So what you need to do is you need to ground, and you need to find that routine that brings you back to center and that is healthy. Okay? So let's go ahead and move into the intuitive messages now. So my first intuitive message is ride with the impulses, trust them. All right. I think we have been in this energy field of just fighting our impulses for a long, long time, since probably, 3 years back. We've been in that point. But right now, with all this surge of Aries energy, I think that there is truth on our impulses. And even if you aren't going to act them out, think about them, contemplate them, reflect on them. Why are you having these impulses? Start to dive into that and see what's going on a shadow level there. All right. Pay attention to that. And I think shadow work is going to be so important right now, because the shadow work is also subconscious work. However you want to look at it, subconscious work, shadow work. But the subconscious mind is like so much more powerful than the conscious mind. It literally is controlling everything that we don't have to think about. That we don't have to think about consciously. Think about all the things that happens in our bodies that we don't have to consciously control, because the unconscious mind, subconscious mind, it got it, right? And so we want to make sure that that side of us that has all that control is healthy and is operating at a optimal place. So seek people out for help with that if you need. The therapist, the astrologer, the life coach, the exercise coach, the hypnotist, the yoga master, whatever your cup of tea is that helps you funnel energy out of your body and work on your subconscious mind. Do that. I would add that in as part of your 2-year plan. Okay, remember what we said? We have Saturn in the sign of Pisces for the next couple years. Pluto's gonna be doing this dance for the next couple years. It's a good time to sort of like set that intention to heal over the next few years in certain ways. So set that intention to heal over the next 2 years, the shadow side, the subconscious mind. All right. The next thing would be to definitely cleanse your space. Set those intentions if you want. And setting intentions doesn't have to look like, oh, by the time of March 2020, I'm going to be the CEO of a company. For some of you, that might be how you manifest and set intentions best. But for others, it might be better to keep it simple. Just be like, wealth comes to me now, and I'm starting to grow it. That is my intention. That is my manifestation. Sometimes that's a better way. So try it out, though. It's up to you. You got to play around with all different techniques to find out what form of setting intentions and manifesting works for you. But this is, even if you don't want to do that, this is definitely a time where you should cleanse your space, do your spring cleaning, ground, reflect, release, rest, recharge, be in hermit mode, do your salt baths, do you, and don't even care about other people, and because the world is going to feel chaotic. Like, everyone's going to be chaotic, the world's going to feel chaotic. It's really important that you're like detoxing that and cleansing that out. Another intuitive message that I got was to look around your room, look around your personal spaces, and put away any like relics of the past, because I feel like it energetically anchors you to the past right now. So if you want to be anchored to the past in a certain way, like you have a relic that reminds you of like your great grandma, and it's been on display in the dining room table for like generations now, keep it, okay? Keep it. But let's say you have like, your boyfriend's fucking hat still hanging on your hat wall, your ex-boyfriend's hat hanging on your hat wall. Put that shit away. That is a relic of the past that, maybe you don't need. Or let's say you have your ex-bestie who, screwed your ex-man in the past, and you still have like the picture up of you two, and you have like your bestie necklaces up on your jewelry. Put that shit away, okay? Again, be mindful of relics of the past there. Or you have like a picture of like you at Disneyland or whatever, and that was like a really shitty traumatic time or something. Like, put that shit away. Try to put relics of the past away. Another intuitive message that I got was tests from the universe. The universe is testing you. A test could be like receiving something in abundance when you know it's bad for you. Like, let's say you're like, oh, I should stop drinking wine. Like, I've been drinking way too much wine lately. My body doesn't like it. I've been feeling really inflamed, yada, yada, yada. But then you get gifted like a fucking 4-year supply of free wine, a free wine membership or something like that. I don't know. And that's like a test. All right. It's not good for you. All of a sudden, you're tempted because you got this free wine membership and you're like, oh, that sounds awesome and amazing, but I should probably quit, right? Watch out for a test like that. Okay. Also, the biggest intuitive message that I channeled here was don't force the change. Don't be drastic. Okay. Let it come organically. And then if an opportunity comes to you organically, I say go ahead, stir the pot, go ahead, do it for the plot, do it for the storyline, go ahead and change, go ahead and be dramatic, go ahead and do whatever it is that you want, but let the opportunity come to you organically. Don't force things or be drastic, which will be a temptation, because all this new moon in Aries says, I want to initiate something. But like I said, I think that we can't control when things happen, and we can't control when things come into alignment. They just do it when they do it. And sometimes when we push for it too much, it can cause interference. And that's always like the frustration of Aries energy, is that sometimes it doesn't understand that there's a perfect time to initiate. It's kind of like this metaphor of like a surfer trying to ride a wave. The surfer is not going to ride its every single wave that it sees and waste all of its energy. It's not going to initiate, on every single wave that it sees. It's going to wait for that right wave, that perfect wave, the wave that feels right, the wave that really captures them and they feel gravitated to it, they feel called for it, everything in their body's like, yes, this is the one, get up on that board. Wait for that moment, baby, because I think it's coming for all of us. Another thing I could see is like, be mindful of like trying to cope with your appearance, because Aries energy can be like caught up on appearance sometimes. This could look like you cleaning your room and doing your spiritual baths and getting new hair and getting new fashion style or whatever, and thinking that's going to cause so much change, but you're not addressing the shadow side shit. You're not addressing the real shit. You're not actually handling your problems, so things aren't going to change. So just be mindful of that, trying to cope with the appearance. That's just something I could see people doing, caught myself doing that too. But hey, it happens. Like I said, we can control how we respond to the energy though, so we just dance a little different then next time. Another intuitive message I was channeling was luck. I think luck is coming in for a lot of you, and you should believe in it, and you should tell yourself that you're lucky. Tell yourself that luck flows through you naturally. And I think luck is something that comes when you're just playing and you're just being yourself, and you're not messing around with life too much, and you're not messing around with things that you can't control, the things that are out of your control too much. When you're not doing that and you're letting things be, that's when luck comes in. And yeah. Okay, so those were my intuitive messages. Now I kind of want to talk about this video that I saw. It's by Pam Gregory, and it's her video with David Farrell. I'm going to link it in the description box down below if you want to check it out, but they just had some really good stuff, and I want to talk about it with you. The first thing that they talked about was ascension symptoms, how we are going to be experiencing those ascension symptoms. So it's normal, like, because there's so much energy funneling in. We got like a surge of energy all of a sudden, and we are in this phase of leveling up and transitioning into the new energy, into the new world order, as some are saying, into this new chapter, this new era. And it's an era for everyone. It's not an era just for you, it's an era for everyone. That's why it's a big deal. But we're going to be experiencing ascension symptoms in that way. And so this could look like headaches, migraines, and like tightness in the body, muscle pains. It's because energy is trying to move through you, and if you have gunk in there or blockage in there or residue in there, it gets stuck and it causes pain. So the other day I literally was at a healing arts fair, and someone asked a question like, I've been going to this chiropractor and they've been adjusting the same spot every time for years now, and it never gets fixed. No matter what I do physically, it never gets fixed. And then the chiropractor was like, it might be an energetic blockage that you need to clear, and it keeps creating, this pain for you. And so I thought that was very interesting, and maybe I think we need to do work to clear that out. And that's the thing with upgrading, is that it takes work. It takes active, conscious work. It's our like responsibility. It's a responsibility thing. We can't control the gunk the energy that comes to us sometimes. We can't control the life situations that come to us sometimes, but it's our responsibility to clear it out of our bodies and heal. All right. And so be ready for that. Be ready to work for that new life. Be ready to work for that upgrade. I don't think it's handed to you. Aries energy, it works for what it has. If you have talked to any Aries, things are not handed to them. And when things are, they don't like it. When things are, they feel like shameful about it. When things are handed to them, they feel like, oh, I don't like the feeling because it doesn't feel like I deserve it. Aries energy genuinely wants to feel like it worked hard for something and it built it all on its own. It really did that all on its own. And so find what that is going to be for you. What is it over these next few years you're going to work really hard on? All right. That message gives me chills, because hard work, I think, is going to have some huge, huge payoff. All right. And I think that payoff might come when Saturn enters Aries, because Saturn's that guy that rewards or it says, all right, you didn't, learn what you needed to learn. I'm going to up the lesson. I'm going to turn the volume up on that lesson and make it a little harder so you learn it. So interesting. Another thing that video was talking about was Pam Gregory was talking about seeing your truth and the revelation that's coming, and to live life for you and to live life in your truth. This next chapter, I think Aries energy is very tied to that. Like it's the energy of I am blank. Okay, it rules those words. I am. And you don't need validation from other people to live life for you, to live life in your truth, to live life authentically. All right. And it's going to take time to see your truth. And that's okay. It'll just take a little bit of time. Another really interesting thing that this video talked about was, how we have Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn rules over structure and Pisces rules over water. Structured water. All right. Try to be drinking that structured water. How can you structure your water? Well, there's plenty of ways. You can buy certain things that add structure to your water. Spiritual and energy workers also believe that you can send energy to your water and that will actually structure it. There was a TikTok experiment done where someone had a couple different plants. It was a couple different bottles of rice, and they cooked, the rice or whatever, and they spoke one intention of I love you to one rice. Then one glass of rice they ignored, and then another glass of rice they said negative things to. And the glass that they were saying negative things to had so much mold at the end of the experience, it was gross. The rice that they ignored, it had mold on it, but it wasn't as much as the one where they were speaking negative energy into it, and the one where they were speaking positive energy into it had no mold. And I personally believe it's the water that was receiving that charge. Okay. Very interesting, because water is going to be the thing that causes mold. And so with that being known, baths can be really good. Salt baths are a great way to keep the energy field healthy and to cleanse out stuff. And if you don't have a bath, hop in the ocean, hop in a lake. Natural bodies of water are also great. If you are going to do a salt bath, make sure you're using the proper salt. Don't use itemized. I get tongue twisted on that. Don't use the itemized why can't I say that? Itemized salt? Whatever. Don't use that salt because it's not going to make your skin feel good. Make sure it's like Epsom salt, bathing salt, okay? Now, I want to get into the gene keys, because in Pam's video, they talked a little bit about the gene keys, and you know me, I love the gene keys, so I was like, I want to dive deeper into that gene key. And that would be gene key 25. So they were talking a little bit about it at the end of that video, and I was like, okay, let's check it out. So when I looked up the chart in the gene keys system for the new moon, I saw that the key to prosperity was gene key 25. And gene key 25, Richard Rudd titles it Myth of the Sacred Wound. And I think that's so interesting how we're talking about the sacred wound here, because we have Chiron in this mix with the new moon energy, and Chiron is that wounded healer, the story of how sacred a wound can be. Let me tell you a story that I heard the other day. I was at the Healing Arts Fair and I saw a hypnotist speak, and he talked about how when he was a kid, he was playing around on some, on the water and on some rocks, and he slipped so hard. He banged the back of his head on the ground so hard that his brain ricocheted off the front of his skull. This caused an insane amount of damage. He was able to, heal, but he suffered from light sensitivity and sound sensitivity, like so bad that he could not live and function, like the day-to-day life. Like that was just, it was too much. So of course that caused so much issues in his life. And then he said one day he made himself two promises. One, he said he promised himself that he's not going to get down by this anymore. And the second promise was, he said, I'm going to turn it into something good. And he started to look for healing, and he worked with all types of doctors, all types of brain doctors. No one, couldn't really help him get what he was looking for. Couldn't help him really, get back to normal where he could work jobs and stuff. So then he started to see Reiki person, and that was a major breakthrough, and he really felt a lot of relief seeing the Reiki person. And then he kept going to energy doctors, and then an energy doctor told him that he had PTSD. And he was like, whoa. So then he saw a hypnotist, and the hypnotist went into his subconscious, pulled out the PTSD, and also cleansed his brain. I don't know exactly what, I'm not a hypnotist, I don't know exactly what the situation was, but yeah, he was able to heal and go back to work, and he fell in love with it and decided to study hypnotism. Now he's a hypnotist, and look at that, the sacred wound, because he was wounded when he was a child and he went through all that hardship. He's now the healer, and he is healing people. And this is the thing, is something hits different about a healer who has had to heal themselves, who has been in the situation that you are. Something hits different. They have a wisdom to them, because wisdom is gained through a lived experience. It's not something you can read. It is through a lived experience that we gain this wisdom. And that is like the sacred story of the wounded healer. So that was something that the gene key talks, just the theme of the gene key. So with each gene key, there are 3 sort of levels of consciousness. We have the shadow level, all right, and then we have the gift level, and this is when we start to provoke evolution. This is kind of like the transform phase. And then we have the siddhi level, which is the highest form and most pure form of that frequency, of that energy. And that's kind of like the awareness phase I was talking about earlier when I was talking about discover, transform, and awaken. So on a shadow level, this gene key talks about constriction. All right, and it talks about how we start constriction training in the womb. In the womb, we already are learning how to breathe, and so we are taking on the breath of our mom and our ancestors. That's breathing patterns are passed down through DNA, and the number one ways us humans constrict ourselves is through our breathing and through time, time. With breathing, we are rarely breathing deep enough and full enough and in the proper way, and that causes a lot of constriction in our bodies, in our energies, in our auras that we don't even realize. And then we constrict ourselves with time. We are obsessed with time. We're obsessed with due dates, obsessed with schedules. Those are the main ways us humans constrict ourselves, and so many other ways too. But it's interesting. We begin constriction training literally when we're in the womb. We're already learning to constrict our breathing. We come out of the womb, we learn to constrict our emotions. We learn to constrict our words and not say certain things, and yada, yada, yada. Constriction exists everywhere. And the thing is that we also need to shape the way we respond to constructs in our life, maybe change the way of how it shapes our life. And there's 2 ways you go about constriction. You can either let it suppress you and you live a life half lived because of it, or you address it and you find a purpose in it and you unwind a higher reality for yourself, kind of like the guy who addressed his constriction with his brain injuries, and he was able to turn it into purpose. He was able to transform it into healing, and it created this higher reality for him. So those are 2 ways you can go about constrictions in your life. Constriction is also found in communities, right? Laws, money, relationships, time, and that we have less control over. We have more control over the constriction that we place on ourselves. Constriction in communities, we don't really have as much control over, and sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's good to hand over the responsibility to someone else. And I think that's also something to get good at here, especially if you're a little bit control freaky. Sometimes it's good to hand over the responsibility to someone else. The shadow side too of this energy, I think, is fear, how constriction can sometimes, constriction most of the time is going to manifest in fear. So where fear is, contemplate that, dive into that area of your life and find the constriction in that area. And if it that constriction and that's when you decide, are you going to live a life half lived and surrender to and be suppressed because of that constriction, or are you going to, kind of take it by the horns and turn it into a purpose? On a gift level, this gene key talks about evolution, it talks about acceptance, and acceptance is kind of like our key to evolving. It's the practice of seeing things for what it is and accepting it for what it is. And when you do that, when you accept yourself, when you accept your shadow sides, when you accept the things you hate, when you accept other people, you are able to then pour more love into it. You're able to transform it. You're able to attract a new frequency. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's shadow work is a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of courage. You have to build up the courage to see your shadow and see yourself. The thing is, the more that you accept yourself and the more that you accept others, love blooms in your life. More love just naturally, organically, alchemically blooms in your life. And I think through acceptance is when you kind of connect and attract new experience. So wherever it is that you're receiving that constriction, that hardship, or you're not accepting certain sides of yourself or whatever, that's going to attract a certain experience. But through accepting that, through facing that, through transforming that and embracing that, you unlock a new experience for yourself. And this is such a great time to unlock new experiences. So I think this is the key to doing that. Like I said, you have to work for your experiences, right? And I think it's going to come through accepting your shadow self, embracing your very human wounds, opening your heart to the pain, letting it in so you can let it out, letting the pain surface so you can transform it. And the more that you transform it, the more the energy can flow through your body, because then you clear it out, the blockages, and energy can flow through your body and move you into the next chapter. So I think that's why the universe is calling us to do the shadow work and to unblock the energies in our body, so that way the surge of newness, the surge of love that's coming into the universe can flow through you. On a city level, this gene key talks about universal love. And you know what is similar to universal love is Saturn and Pisces. Yes, Saturn and Pisces. And we kind of have the energy of when we're in the city level, this is when the sacred wound reveals its true purpose. And love, I think this next chapter needs to be rooted in love and not in fear. And right now, I think we have a collective that is rooted in fear. And we as humans are going through that upgrade, that quantum leap, that switch over to a new paradigm. And that just starts with each person, just one by one, choosing love and teaching other people how to choose love. And you do that through your own way. You could do that through your art. You could do that through just having a funny conversation with people, but root yourself in love every day and help other people get rooted in love every day. Okay? And the reason why I say like Saturn and Pisces can be connected to universal love, because first of all, Pisces energy is rules over the energy of universal love. We have Neptune in here too, which is making the Pisces energy very strong. Saturn isn't the most strong in Pisces, but what this could do is add a lot of like structure to the collective, to universal love, which is needed sometimes. It's needed. Anyways, let's now talk about ways you can honor the new moon. Final thing to talk about here. So ways you can honor this new moon: number 1, cleanse your space. All right, invite in newness, cleanse your space. 2, cleanse your body, get rid of all the energetic junk in your aura. 3, dream with no expectations, just dream for fun. All right, when we put expectations, sometimes we put interference, in our aura. So dream just for fun, dream with no expectations. 4, journal about what you're going to work on and release over these next few years. 5 would be to journal about the game plan. What are you going to work towards? What are you going to take on these next few years? Be realistic with it. Be confident in it and whatever you do. Be calculative. Next would be signify your new beginning in some kind of way. Don't be addicted to that. Don't think that's the only thing you have to do to work towards your new beginning, but you can signify a new beginning in a new way, like a new hair, a new look, stuff like that could be fun. Another thing I would suggest is doing a time capsule. Look through your Snapchat or look through old photos or write down what happened, over the last 15 years of your life, 10 years of your life, whatever. Make a little time capsule, make a little timeline, because what that can do is when you understand timelines, you can kind of find where things were broken. And when you can find where things were broken, you kind of go back to that period of time, go back to that kind of person that you were, and start to do some spring cleaning in that area, start to cleanse that out of your aura, pull it out by the root. This is something that I think could be really great to ask an astrologer about if you need help with creating a timeline. Email me. I don't have that as a service, but that could be something I would be open to trying out with you, is helping you go create a timeline and pull things out of your aura. Also, lastly, grounding routine. Make that routine that's going to help you get back to center when all the world is driving you crazy, and let it be healthy. You can let it be healthy. Okay. Alrighty, so that is all I have to say about the new moon in Aries. I hope this video helped you out. I hope it helped you understand the energy. I hope it helps you work with the energy. Please comment below and let me know what you think. I love reading your comments, or comment on me on Twitter as well. I love reading your comments there too. It was a lot of fun doing this reading for you. Make sure you check out my description box too for the tarot course I offer, readings I offer, things of that nature. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.